All right. Welcome back to another episode. Marty, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dalton?
I'm doing great. Um, like I said a little earlier today, we got a few coaches coming on tonight. This is going to be a fun little tryout of having multiple people, multiple coaches come on and catch up on about the programs. So just to give you a little heads up into who we're having on, we're going to have, I believe, Eric Hunt from Woodstock, um, Derek Jones from Sandwich, and then Justin Lehman from Oregon. So should be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a great time.
Yeah. But before we get into them and wait for them to hop in, did you check out any of the other results?
I did not. I watched the David Taylor match
Yeah.
and thought that early this morning, but I haven't checked anything else yet. I was busy today.
Yeah. Well, Vito, Vito
Yeah,
Arujau, he lost in his semifinal bout um, to somebody from Japan.
Japanese are becoming a powerhouse.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Oh my gosh.
James Green lost in the I don't even know what's the yeah, it must be a quarters.
Quarters.
Yep. And Burrows lost in the quarters. No. James Green must have lost in the first round.
Okay.
And then Burrows lost in the quarters to Iran. And yeah, then Taylor lost right in the qualifying round. So tough
Yeah,
day at the office.
Yeah, it's a young man's gig, and those guys are getting a little long in the teeth and getting a little gray hair. So I mean, it's awesome. Hopefully, I would imagine David Taylor is going to get to go back through Reperchard and a couple of other guys. But it is what it is, man. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's unique though too that they're only doing what is it? 4 weight classes or 5? 4.
Like in a particular day.
Yeah, 4, right? Because they only did the non-Olympic weights.
Oh yeah. So they only have the 4 weight classes.
Yeah, so that's kind of a unique world championship, know. But who don't? It's not us making the decisions.
Yeah, that's for sure. So what did you get into the rest of the day? Chop down trees and stuff.
No trees yet. That's in a week or so. We had to go to Myers. I had to walk around Myers for like an hour. It's like grocery shopping / looking at clothes.
Oh.
I did the grocery shopping, but I don't care about clothes.
Yeah, you have enough Hananiga gear to last you a lifetime.
30-some years there gives you
that's
things. Yeah, they got a good chance to win their playoff round too.
Hananiga.
Yeah, it's against Willowbrook. They played Willowbrook a couple of years ago in the playoffs and handled them pretty well, so that would be great.
Yeah, and then it seems to me that they feed right into the winner of Harlem and Mount Carmel.
Yes, I think Harlem's going to figure out what private school football's like.
Yeah. Well, I came across, I think it was because of the Northern Illinois Wrestling YouTube channel, but I came across a video of Mount Carmel playing football, I think in the beginning of the year. So one of the early season games. And I was just blown away about the size of the athletes that they had on their team.
And the speed.
Yeah. But particularly size, right?
Yeah.
Like they look like, they have the pick of the litter, if you will. And, every single, lineman looks like they're close to 6 foot tall, or maybe.
No, more than that.
Yeah.
Try like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, I should look at their.
Yeah.
This is actually a good transition topic that I want to talk about. I was thinking about this. You know how, like, you think about professional football, and you think about how many people play high school football, and you think about how many people play college football, and then how many small amounts of people like make it to the professional football level. Like, how many of those individuals that didn't make it could have been super successful in wrestling just because of their overall athleticism
and their size. Yeah. Length. You know what happens? Like in football, with especially linemen, you watch it as it goes down. So like these really good schools, high schools. I'm going to go to college and professional. The really good professional football players that are linemen are 6'5", 6'6", maybe a couple are 6'4". Okay, then you go Division 1, and those guys are still in that Division 1, 6'6", 6'5". Then you drop down to FBS or whatever that were like NIU or Illinois State, and that those guys are like 6'3", and then you make a drop down to Division 2, and those guys are 6'2", maybe 6'1", and then you get down to Division 3. Those linemen are like 6 foot, 5'11". I mean, those guys are probably just as good as those other guys, but they're only 5'11", 6 foot, and that'll never cut it in Division 1 or professional football.
But
You
just
got to have that wingspan and everything.
But just imagine if they all came into the wrestling world. I think so many of them would have success. Our lighter weights are always amazing to watch, and obviously our heavyweights are pretty good. But imagine there's a handful more of those athletes. I think that
those
cool.
3 brothers from, was it Bolingbrook or whatever? Tony used to wrestle them, and they all went to Michigan State, and they all started at either guard or center. And I think a couple of them went to the NFL. I cannot think of the names, but they were wrestlers too. I mean, you just take it off. You ask an offensive lineman what you want the kids to do in the offseason, and he says they should wrestle. They better wrestle because football's hand fighting.
Yeah. Well, Marty, we are going to bring on our first guest tonight. Again, current head coach for Woodstock High School, Eric Hunt. Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Dalton. Marty, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, Eric, I think this is a fun opportunity for Marty and I to just kind of like get to know people in general, and then get to know their programs and what's going on. So you are the head wrestling coach at Woodstock High School.
Correct.
And so how long have you had that job?
It's only my 3rd year as the head coach here. I've coached at a couple other schools in the area, and then I went into from a teacher to administrator. So I had to step away from the coaching world, as they make us do. And then I missed it too much, so I came back to the classroom. And then I just kind of started looking around the area. I happen to live in Woodstock, so I applied at like a middle school job, and then like days before the season, I got a call and said, "Hey, we need somebody up here at the high school." And I said, "I'm your guy." So it's 3 years ago.
Well, great. So just give us a little, update. How's the last 3 years been for you?
Yeah. So I grew up in this area. So I understand, Fox Valley wrestling. That's kind of the area I grew up in. And so Woodstock's always been in a very unique position, in kind of like a foot in, a foot out in the Fox Valley Conference. And in 2008, when they started, completing everything at Woodstock North High School, similar, a little bit what happened in Belvedere. We expected this really big growth out here. And both of these 2A schools, our one 3A school to turn into 2 very large 2A schools. And I don't think we just saw the growth that we were expecting. And so Woodstock's kind of been an interesting position. We stepped out of the Fox Valley, joined Kishwaukee River, then the Interstate 8, then we're back in the Kishwaukee River. And we're sitting right about 950-ish students. And we're just not really growing yet. And our program for a number of years kind of fell back on like maybe, match counts of like 18 to 25 matches in the season, and being very comfortable with, probably having, 12 to 15 dates at the absolute most. And when I came in, I was lucky enough to work with Coach Mark Jane out of Prairie Ridge. And I learned most of my in the room coaching from him. And I just ripped apart the schedule and just said, we're going after, the biggest people we can find. And, if we take our lickings, we do. But if we want that culture to change and we want to kind of get away from being content where we are, we have to max out our schedule. We have to travel. Last year we called everybody. And, after it was my second year, everyone kind of knew my system, and we called Montini and Marion Central, and we called Yorkville Christian and Oakwood, and we called everybody that would wrestle us, and we just showed up. And I feel like by coaching the guys appropriately in those duels, knowing what we're walking into, and that we're there to get better, we're not there to win the duel. If you do it the right way, I think you can really build strong mindsets. And I plan on staying here for the long term. So I'm hoping that helps set the mindset for Woodstock moving forward.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. The hard part, like you said, it's similar to kind of what happened at Belvedere. So the challenge is always, how do you get a feeder program that can fulfill a full lineup at a 900 student? Well, Marty, what's the size of Hananiga when you were
when I first came?
Yeah, maybe 2000s.
Well, when I first came in 80, it was like 700 kids. Now it's 2,000, and back then, I mean, we went to 1,000 to 1,200. Then that home with the building out here, it exploded, but it's kind of mellowed out now. So we're right around 2,000, 2,100.
But early 2000s is probably 1,500.
Yeah, probably 17 right there. Yeah.
I'm not a school guy, so I never know how many kids are.
We got lucky. They were very close to doing 2 high schools at Hananiga, and they kind of saw what happened at Belvedere, that not always the best thing to do. So we stayed with one school, which is the greatest thing that ever happened.
Yeah. Well, so Eric, how has the what's the collaboration? Is there a collaboration? How many youth wrestlers do you have in the area?
That's another area that we're just trying to grow, and we everyone watching this knows the importance of having that that youth program and having those people that come in. I feel like I'd be the happiest coach in the world if I just had 3 or 4 guys and girls that had a strong background in wrestling, and I can kind of build around them. But we're still not there yet. We might have a hammer come through every 3 or 4 years, but we're not at the point where we have that consistency yet. But we do have youth programs, which is good. And Woodstock's people are, kind of pushing out from Crystal Lake. And we actually have Coach John Murphy, who just moved Omega from Huntley area up to Woodstock. And he's starting a lot of new things. He's got a new club he's starting. And we have a local club here called the Cyclones. And then we're not too far from Prairie Ridge and their Junior Wolves program. So I think it's about, I've become a big marketer. And I've developed a lot of sales skills that I'm a teacher, so I don't have those. But I'm really trying to, I don't know a thing about football, and I joined the football staff just to try to connect with these kids. I actually teach at a different high school in Carpentersville. I teach at Dundee Crown High School. So I don't even teach in the building I coach. So I have to get in and get in front of these kids as any way I can. I'll go to Planet Fitness and I'll see kids. I'm like, are you in high school? And I'll just do my best to try to get them to consider wrestling. As long as they don't play basketball, I want them in the room.
Yeah.
So where'd you wrestle at? Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Cary Grove, and then I moved to Woodstock when I was in high school.
Okay.
And I have a very, very unique path in that I didn't actually wrestle very competitively in high school. My mom wouldn't let me. And so I started, that was right about the wave of jiu-jitsu started and mixed martial arts. And so I started going, my mom won't watch this. So I started going to Jeff Curran's gym at the time it was in Crystal Lake, this little carpet store. And I was going there and learned obviously a world of martial arts there, and then started the mixed martial arts scene in 2004. And I did that until 2011. And so that was I actually came in like the back door. I was doing jiu-jitsu and that kind of grappling thing. And then I came to wrestling through teaching.
That's great.
Yeah, I think I like that pathway. Sometimes wrestling gets a little out of hand as far as strictly focusing on too much of the result stuff. Martial arts obviously has a good philosophical approach to combat training, and I do think that it's a little bit more healthy especially when you are in a situation like you're in, maybe where um, uh, the primary athlete that you're interacting with isn't necessarily focused on national championships or even high school state titles, but how do you utilize wrestling in a way that makes their lives better, mentally and emotionally, so that they can kind of like navigate life a little bit better? Because I think that was one of the things that I've talked to a lot of people recently about because of the internet, because of social media. Oftentimes we can get confused and distracted with the shiniest of shiny lights, and competition is great. It brings the best out of us. It allows you to maybe focus on something so intently that it transforms you into a new person. However, at the same time, at some point the lights will turn off, and what you're left with is the personal experience that you went through. And I don't think the awards are necessarily the only thing that we can focus on, because as three high school coaches in public schools, the vast majority of them do not have the success that maybe what you think you're supposed to want. And so how do you make it valuable to those people? I think that's an important thing. So I personally like the martial arts world, just because, like I am curious, what was your mom's reservation with high school wrestling and not with MMA?
Oh, it was well, MMA. She didn't know where I was, so that was probably
Okay.
probably could have, if I was at the high school, she knew. I was soccer was actually my first sport, and I was very successful in that. And she had no problem with that. But yeah, so I had to find a way to stay busy, but she didn't know where Curran's was. So
I see. That's funny.
But no, that's a really good point, and I feel like I've really evolved. This is year 12 now of coaching, and I've really evolved from, what is success, and in some years it's, hey, we've got a hammer in the room and we need to get him on the podium and we need to get colleges to look at him and we need to help. And other years it's like, hey, we got a lot of kids that might want to go to the military. They're going to end up in construction next year. They're going to go to 4-year college. They're going to go to local college. And we need to give them the tools, the characteristics, the morals, the ethics to go be good citizens in our community, because they're going to be our neighbors soon. And so sometimes that's our goal, and sometimes that's a big win. But I feel, often sometimes this sport is like the mark of a coach sometimes falls back on, like, how many dual wins you have, or, how many guys are you going to state? We always say we hate to, pay for state. You want to get down there for free, and you don't. But sometimes, last year I paid for state, and it was I think the first time in my career I've ever not gone to state as a coach. And it was tough. And we had some guys that should have been there on paper, and it just didn't work out for us. And so you have to kind of reevaluate your goals.
Yeah. Marty, you got anything you can think of? I know you did mention that you have some former Woodstock. What are you guys, Woodstock Cyclones?
Blue Streaks.
Blue Streaks. Cyclones is like the middle school program, I think.
Yeah.
The Blue Streaks. So John Murphy was
yep.
He was there. Woodstock was at the Harvard tournament back in the day, Marty.
Yes, it was.
When we were all
of the head coach's name.
Was it before Patton?
Oh, it might have been. It's Patton. Yeah.
Patton. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still around, and he's in all the record books here. We've had one state champ at our school, we've been at that Harvard tournament for 57 years.
Yeah.
I really like your perspective of what you're talking about and how you react to all this, because sometimes, I'm a perfect example. I got caught up in, we have to win. But I also, during that time, creating great people, right? Making them accountable, making them be at practice. I've heard many stories that there's guys that, will miss a practice and they get to wrestle that weekend. If you set the culture will grow. And I think what you said, some of the stuff you said is great. That's why wrestling is such a great sport, because of people like you. You're going to change people. You will. You're going to change young men.
Yeah.
Well, great.
Well,
The
only other thing I wanted to mention, because they're going to kill me if I don't, is we have a girls team. And we're very proud about this at Woodstock. So it's actually co-op because that was the best way that I could sell it. And we have girls from Woodstock North and Woodstock. And last year, I put it out to my AD and I said, we got to do this. Huntley's right down the road. They've got a huge team and they're, obviously the sport's blowing up. And kudos to my athletic director at Woodstock. He's like, anything you need. And I said, this is going to sound weird, but I need singlets. I need tournament entry fees and I don't have a team yet. And he's like, you don't have any girls interested? And I'm like, no. But I'm telling you, if we put the cart before the horse, it's going to sound weird. But if I can get the singlets, if I can get the practice schedule together, if I can get the coaches, we had a coach on a stipend before we had a team. And I'm happy to say that we had open mats today and I've got 18 girls, for 2 900 student high schools is really, really good. And we're hoping that we're actually having a huge problem now, which is we're a small school and we don't have space. But it's exciting to see the girls. And last year I separated the girls, another coaching evolution for me. Like, how do I do this? Do I have the girls in a separate room? Do I have them in the room? So we did the whole season separate. I ran back and forth to the lunchroom and principal was super supportive, let me put stuff in the lunchroom. And at the end of the season, I said, okay, give me feedback. Like, let's see. And the girls said, we want the smoke. You didn't smoke us last year. We felt like you kind of babied us. We don't want that. We want to be in the room. We want to be in there with the boys and we want everything you got. So this year they've been in there all open mats and they're killing it. So super excited to see girls wrestling grow in Woodstock as well.
Well, great. Yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, going into this season though, like, do you have any particular like events that you're looking forward to that you have set up?
Every year I've kind of been evolving the schedule to kind of try to determine where we're going to be. Woodstock's interesting in that we're right on 47 north, south. And so sometimes we get sent, east towards Lake County for our regional. Sometimes we get sent out to Rochelle or, Rockford. And so it's hard to build a schedule to kind of predict who you need to see and who you want to get looked at. So, we have an Antioch tournament, that Thanksgiving weekend, which is really good because you get 6 matches. And that one's, it's a good one for us. And then our dual schedule is really, really good. And this year our team's going to be super young, and which I'm excited for. We have a lot of really good freshmen and sophomores, and our juniors are the babies that started with me in my first year. And so they understand me now. They understand my coaching style, and it's fun to see them kind of growing up as upperclassmen now. So our season is last season was crazier duels, a lot more difficult teams. This year, I feel like it's great prep for regionals. And I think the way that we have it designed, we're going to be peaking right when we need to. And then, the rest is in their hands in February.
Great. Marty, you got any last things for Coach here?
It's nice meeting you, and I love to follow wrestling during the season, so I'll keep an eye on and see how you guys do. Hopefully you have somebody downstate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Eric. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Glad to meet you. We'll definitely get to have you back on throughout the season and catch up with how the team's doing, results and stuff. But I appreciate you coming on, and we'll chat soon.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Go you bet. Have a great start to the season.
Thanks. You too.
Good luck. All righty, Marty. Great first interview.
That was a great interview.
Yeah, I think we got some stuff covered. Know a little bit more about Woodstock than I did a couple minutes ago. They've always
tough.
Yeah.
They were.
Well, I think that that whole area used to be real. Crystal Lake,
Central,
Woodstock,
Crystal Lake South, yeah.
And for whatever reason, there was a small time period where Crystal Lake, I think it was Crystal Lake Central. Which one's the orange team?
Crystal Lake Central.
Yeah, they had
South is green.
Yeah,
yellow.
So Central had a period of time where they were pretty good. But
Prairie Ridge was good. There was,
that whole area could really develop. Yeah. Cool. Well, so the next one we're gonna have on is a coach from Sandwich. So we will stay tuned for that. All right, Marty. Well, we are going to bring on the next set of coaches here from Sandwich. And let me bring them on and have them introduce themselves.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
How's it
Coach,
going?
Coach Derek Jones.
Yeah, I'm Derek Jones. This is Josh Lehman. He's my assistant. Just wanted to join him or bring him on as well because he's been doing a lot of stuff for us. I coach football, so he's been running a lot of the things behind the scenes. So give him a little airtime. Appreciate what he's been doing.
Cool. Well, welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you. So we just kind of to start with, just kind of introduce yourselves. How many years have you guys coached at Sandwich? And
I took over the Sandwich job in the 2019-2020 school year. So I think I'm going into my 6th year. Yeah, sounds right. 7th year, something like that. And then Coach Lehman joined me. This will be his 3rd year. Yep. So yeah, we've been together for a few years here.
Nice. And you are you guys from? I know now, Josh. I'll get to you, but Josh is the brother of Justin Lehman, the Oregon coach, and he'll be on here shortly. But and you can tell us too, Josh. But Derek, where are you originally from? Are you from the area?
Yeah, I grew up in Yorkville, so I wrestled there. Graduated in 2008, and then kind of bounced around. I was coaching at Yorkville for a couple of years, just as a volunteer assistant, and then I took the varsity assistant job in Plainfield Central for 4 years, and then this head job opened up, so kind of made the move over.
Got it. Josh, where are you guys from again?
So I grew up in Franklin Grove, wrestled at AFC. And yeah, my little brother, he's coaching at Oregon. And I started coaching at Palatine in the suburbs and then kind of moved out closer to home in the smaller town and started here at Sandwich about 3 years ago and building the program. And it's been awesome.
I got a question for you, Josh. Who's the better wrestler, you or your brother?
That's an easy one.
Did you beat the crap out of him?
I'm the older one.
Yeah. But was he a better wrestler in high school because you beat the crap out of him?
Of course.
There you go. Little brothers get beat up.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so Derek, you said 6 years at Sandwich. How has it been with the program? What are some of the highs that you've had so far? What some successes that you're proud of?
Yeah. I came in, we had a strong young group and, kind of organizing things into the way that I, preferred them. But we had some success stories along the way. We hadn't had a state qualifier in Sandwich for 2 or 3 years before I took over. And then my first year, we had a kid, Braulio Flores, who qualified for the state tournament, went 2-2 down there. So lost in the blood round. A couple years later, after COVID, we beat Lena Winslow, number 1 team in the state in the team sectional to qualify for team state that year. We had a very heavy group of seniors that were with me for those 3 years. And they, unfortunately, we lost to Harvard in the quarterfinals, so we didn't bring home a trophy. But, and then, starting kind of from scratch, Josh and I, came in and his philosophy and mine kind of aligned really well. So, we started building things, more from the foundation. We have a new ownership of our club, and the last couple of years we've had over 100 kids involved in the club, up from 50s, 60s. So, we're just proud of where it's going. It'll take a couple more years to get those kids flowing up to us, but we're seeing some growth. I think we had 19 kids total on the team the year we qualified for team state. And last year we had, 35-ish kids. This year we're shooting for, 40. We have another, our girls team is obviously getting going like everyone else's, in the area. But, last year we had 4 girls. This year we're going to have at least 10, maybe a couple more here and there that pop in. But so we're excited about that as well, establishing that girls schedule. So.
How many kids in high school?
We're at 650 now, somewhere around there.
It's got a history of great wrestling. Great wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. It was definitely not handed over to me in a bad space by any means. The community support is great. When we qualified for Team State, every freaking business in the area had, good luck SHS wrestlers all over it. That was awesome to see. But Lon Garish obviously established that, strong sandwich wrestling, put him on the map. And then, Coach McCarty, who took over a little bit after him, Coach Cassie, all those guys before me, didn't put it in a bad place where it was very hard to pick it up right where it was left off and keep it, keep the train going. So
do you guys both teach in the building?
I do. Josh works outside of the building. So
what do you teach?
I'm a special education teacher at the high school. So I co-teach like math classes and teach them, self-contained math courses.
I was a special ed teacher as well, but severe and profound kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going back, what you said, you had 100+ kids in the kids program. I think that's like such a great number to shoot for because, if they eventually stick with it, you got 20 to 30 kids per class kind of coming in. So that's pretty cool. You also said you were a football coach, and that's one thing that I've been curious about because I just no matter I just, as of recent, in the last couple of years, more than anything, there's been such a explosion of conversation from football professionals talking about the benefit of wrestling and kind of incorporating how wrestling can really enhance your football. Have you guys had a successful transition of getting kids out, offensive linemen, defensive linemen coming out for the team and utilizing the activity of wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, so Josh coached football a couple years ago as well, and stepped away last year.
Yep.
And he's been focusing, a lot on wrestling. We have things rolling the way we want, and we need more, time with every sport, of course. But the football program a couple years ago, this is a big news story. I don't know if you guys heard, but we actually canceled our varsity season because we had 6 kids that wanted to play varsity football. So we ended up canceling our season. Played a fresh soft season, went like 8-1. And then that group of kids has now come up to the varsity level. They went 8-4 last year, made the quarterfinals of the state tournament for football. And this year they qualified for the playoffs again, which is just a huge accomplishment. I think Coach Cassie, he has the number in his mind, but I don't remember. But it's a very small amount of times in the historic Sandwich High School of football, how many times that we've actually qualified for the playoffs. And we've done it 2 years, in a row here. So, which is pretty exciting. As far as getting those kids to pool, I mean, I think it's definitely helpful being in and around them and forming those relationships with those kids on the football field. And I think every year that I've been coaching football here, that I've easily got, a handful of kids to come out and at least try open mats. And usually we rope them in. I know there's a couple more kids that are going to come out and, they've been doing open mats with Josh here. After, all the sophomores are dressed for varsity, but some of those freshman kids, they're coming and checking it out. So I think it's helpful. It's not enough to just pull those kids, especially with, only 600, plus kids in our building.
Yeah.
So again, we knew that just trying to survive by pulling kids from when they finally got to high school into the program wasn't going to make us as successful as we needed to be, which is why we've, established this club and, created a board meeting, a board for the club. And, we've got it organized now that we've had, like I said, over 100 kids. Last couple of years, we've done a takedown tournament under the lights on the football field in July, which has been awesome. Last year, I think we had over 500 kids wrestling on a Saturday night. On the football field, and just things like that, getting the community involved and seeing that stuff, they get excited about, helping out, even if it's not having their kids wrestle, they're volunteering their time, putting our names up in the window of their business and things like that. So.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't, obviously, I kind of just assume that all the football programs are, full. So that's an interesting backstory. Speaking of going into your wrestling season, I guess you could start with some of your returning wrestlers. I know you have a couple pretty solid guys.
Yeah. As far as, varsity lineup outlook, I think, we maybe lost two seniors last year. We won our regional, lost 2 points to Riverdale in the team sectional last year. There's probably about 3 matches that, we were getting majored and end up getting pinned with 8 seconds left or things like that, where we were outmatched by all means, but, it was right there for us to take it home, but just wasn't our day. But yeah, we have one, I'm just counting them right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 returning starters. And then we have one coming back. He wrestled, all throughout his life. And then he stepped away last year because he actually broke his elbow in football. I was letting that recover, but he'll be back. And then we'll have a couple newcomers, freshmen that are joining us that will help fill some holes. But we'll be pretty strong, I think, as well. So,
yeah, sometimes people don't realize that having a state qualifier is an awesome thing, but having a dual meet state qualifying team is a grind. People all of a sudden you have that celebration, you have a state place winner that year, and next thing you know, on Tuesday you got to wrestle again. Got to make weight. People just don't understand how hard it is to have a good wrestling team. A couple of good individuals, that's great. It makes everything look great. But put a team out there like you guys are talking about is just awesome.
Yeah. I like 2 years ago when we beat Lena Winslow. I mean, it took all 14 of our guys 100%. I mean, we wrestled our tails off, and I mean, it was fighting for every inch and everything we could to stay off our back here or go out of bounds there or there. And it just so happened we, beat them by, I think, 2 points because we just outlasted them, got some bonus points where we needed to. So we're hoping to return there. Like I said, 10 returning starters. I think we have 3 seniors again on this projected varsity lineup. You never know who's actually going to crack the lineup, but based on returning starters from previous years. So, I mean, I'm really excited for us this year. I think next year, the year after, is even going to be maybe even tougher. Like I said, we're just going to start getting those club kids filtering up. And I didn't mean to skip over our middle school program, but our middle school program is doing good things as well. They're pulling, 60, 70 kids in at the beginning of their season as well. And I mean, to corral 60, 70 12-year-olds is insane. So my middle school coach keeps freaking coming back, but he must like it. I don't know. So, but we're appreciative of what he's doing down there as well.
You guys are doing the right thing. I mean, totally. It's just great to hear it. I love seeing young guys so passionate about the sport of wrestling.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I'm looking forward to kind of see how the whole just the map lays out as far as I guess what conference are you guys in?
So we just switched. Last year was our first official year. We're in the Kishwaukee River Conference, so we're with Richmond, Burton, Johnsburg, Stocks, Plano, Marengo, and Harvard. So
is Woodstock in that? Because I think we just had Woodstock. Yeah, he just mentioned that.
Woodstock and Woodstock North are in there. Doing good things too. I mean that.
Aren't you guys? Isn't Sandwich like south of I-80 or south of 88?
Yeah.
You guys got a little traveling to do, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Football is a little rough.
I bet so.
4 or 5 trips, 2 hours north of us to play football games, but wrestling isn't too bad. I mean, our athletic director, he just retired last year, but he was our conference AD for wrestling and talked to me a lot about how to set up the schedule. So we set it up as like tries. So we, basically every team only has to travel north or south, like at max twice a year for the conference. So we go up north twice this year. Last year, we were lucky enough to just do it once. We hosted one, Plano hosted one, but alternating the schools. So they only had to come down once. So we can make it work, and it's definitely something able to happen with wrestling. Obviously, football, you can't play 2 football games in the night. So
Right.
And you guys end up feeding into the sectional, like you were at sectionals at Byron last year, right?
that's correct. Yep.
Which is a tough. It's like one of the, I mean, probably the toughest single A sectional.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we love it. Our schedule's getting, since I took over, I came from, like I said, Yorkville, and I don't know if you guys know the name Shane Darnell, but he's actually my high school principal now, but he was my head coach there, and he kind of, beat this philosophy into my head of, your schedule should be tougher than who you're wrestling comes the state series time, basically. So, we see, we go to Barrington tournament, which is, littered with 3A teams, and Marmion and, all those powerhouse programs that are in 3A. We go to a Plainfield North dual team tournament. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that our sectional is not tough, but we expose them to that toughness beforehand. So it's not a complete shock. But heck yeah, it's freaking tough for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got to. Now, have you guys experimented with like utilizing the new rules as far as tournaments? Like you get to go to as many tournaments, so you kind of get to mix and match. I think it's beneficial for, if you got a guy who's really good, you can try, like, I don't know if you guys have tried to do this. I hope tournament directors start adapting a little bit and say, oh, Sandwich has got a, good 135 pounder. They want to send him to this tournament. Maybe the rest of their team's going to go somewhere else. Have you guys experimented with any of that?
We haven't done anything that drastic, but we definitely added more, variance in our tournaments. When that took over, like that's when we got into Barrington. That's when we got into the Plainfield North dual team. We have a couple dual team tournaments. I like that as well. Marty was talking about just building a strong team, but it's hard to commit a full date for your varsity program to go to Barrington, when half of your lineup, or maybe even more than half your lineup, are going to go 0-2, and it's going to be kind of a waste for them, a whole, date or, an event that they're taking out of their schedule to only wrestle 2 matches. So I love the dual team tournaments, because even if my kid goes 0-5, at least he gets 5 matches, kind of deal.
Exactly.
So we built those in. We started hosting our own dual team tournament over Christmas break. So that's nice. All the teams come to us during the winter when we don't have to travel in the snow, luckily. But yeah, it's been a process building our schedule to kind of get it the way that we like it. Also an overscheduler, because with the new 45 match rule, I try to get kids to get that, whatever numbers in my head of that many matches before they get into the state series, because I don't want kids getting, injured for a month and they, end up showing up to regionals with a 7-2 record because they just don't have enough experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've just kind of been playing around with it. We add and drop things here and there, but
cool.
That would be great. I mean, I know we have some kids that have some dreams of, going out and competing to, at like Ironman and some of those bigger, national tournaments. Currently, I don't think our administration is ready to roll with that, but if that's allowed, we would definitely look into those types of things.
Yeah, well, a tournament like Ironman, I definitely know that they do it, right? Like they go, oh, you only can bring in so many people, and if your team is, state ranked or something like that, you can bring your whole lineup. But I just know that, in Northern Illinois, we have really, some really good individuals on some teams, and I think sometimes we either expose kids that need, less exposure to that high level wrestling. Obviously, you can want the highest competition possible. However, you can't feed them to the wolves and think that just alone is going to, translate to having success. You kind of have to find the way in there. And knowing that some kids aren't, 8 years into this, some kids are 2-3 years in. So
yeah, we had kids last year that, filled gaps for our lineup that were freshmen, sophomores, that probably weren't ready to wrestle in a varsity lineup. They had experience in middle school and kids club and things like that. But, we're lucky enough as well that our administration and our district supports us enough. We have, weekends where we have fresh off tournaments and JV tournaments where last year, I think, again, for the Barrington tournament, that's the one that keeps popping in my head. But, we might pull 7-8 kids to take there that I think are ready to compete at a tournament like that. And then the other ones go to the Byron Fresh Off tournament and things like that. So it's not endlessly just getting their heads pounded in, because for sure, whether or not that makes them tougher and to make them a better wrestler is up for debate. I agree, but I don't want to treat my kids like that and make them hate the sport of wrestling either. Like,
Yeah.
them to be here because they want to be here and love the sport and, not only want to be better for themselves, but for their team. So, and I think just like what you were saying, I think that's what's best for them. I mean, getting some success under their belt and, understanding that they know how to wrestle and they can compete with, these kids. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that you keep saying team. I love it because sometimes people get caught in high school wrestling between, hey, there's some really good individuals on this team, or it's a really good team. And to put, like we've talked about before, like going to dual state, putting a team together is one of the hardest things there is. And everything you've been saying is said you're about the team, and that's great.
Yeah.
You're always going to have a great individual. Those great individuals are going to do great. They are. It's the guys that, only wrestled, started in 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, or whatever. You need those by the time they're seniors. You need those guys.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, great. I appreciate you guys coming on. If there's anything else that you want to leave before you leave us with before you go, otherwise, it's really cool to meet you guys, chat with you guys. Looking forward to the season. Definitely, open invite to come back on, tell us about your weeks and competitions and what you have going on and stuff like that. But I'll leave it to you for anything else.
Awesome. Well, just extend that right back to you guys. Thanks for, letting us come on. And, there's not enough people out there that are doing what you guys are doing that, I was talking to Josh about it and I'm like, hey, they shout out this mass email. And I'm like, dude, any chance we can get to shout out our team and anything that they can get, publicity or, their names talked about, I want to do. It's not the most fun sport all the time. It's grinding in hot gyms and working your tail off. So, I just want to show the guys that, we're here for them. We appreciate them, that they're doing the right things. And I turn it over to Coach Lehman. I don't know if he has anything else to add, but.
No, yeah, not really. Just other than, like he said, things are going in the right direction. And it's fun to feel like I came from a small town where we couldn't even fill a full lineup if we wanted to, type of thing. So to be in the opportunity to fill a lineup and to have that small town feeling and the community support it's an awesome feeling, and feel like things are definitely going in the right direction. So it's been fun, and thank you guys for having us.
We got to have you back halfway through the year or somewhere during the year because you guys are
great.
Before
that. I mean,
yeah, right. Like you get to kick off the season, and I mean, I got something else to follow because I'm a wrestling nerd. I'm retired. I don't, I look at all the results of everything, so I'm gonna start following Sandwich.
Yeah,
we'd love to have you.
Yeah,
we will.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have you on this throughout the season, not halfway through.
Yeah,
and just to I'm not even going to say the word.
Yeah.
Just to expand on what you were mentioning, like selfishly, I sometimes show up to tournaments. I don't necessarily know who's to watch. And so having the ability to connect with coaches and tell us about their team, tell us about the individuals, tell us about the results, just so that we can kind of like be fans instead of just showing up and finding out everything at the last minute. I want to know stuff going into the state series and stuff like that. So appreciate coming on and sharing your stuff with us, and we will have you on soon.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Right. Good night.
See you guys. Get into the next one, the final interview of the night. We're going to bring on Justin Lehman, brother of the last guest, Josh Lehman, and talk a little bit about Oregon high school wrestling or Oregon wrestling. Justin, what is up?
Not much. We're just finishing up a little bit of open mats here tonight. So I'm at the school, just in the coach's room, ready to talk some more wrestling.
Well, great. Yeah. We learned a little bit about you and your brother a little bit. Just he said he mentioned that he may have been a little bit of a big brother to you.
Big brother and all.
Oh,
that
you're way better looking than he is, though.
That must be the glasses.
You got that going for you.
Yeah. Well, Justin, so we had you on not too long ago, so we kind of are aware of like what's been up. But how's open mat been going, and how excited are the guys for the season?
Yeah, it's actually going really well. Obviously, football teams in the playoffs, so a lot of those football guys they're still mindset on football and moving on. And when we get them in the room, we're going to be rocking and rolling. But the group that's coming up now, we even have some of our junior high kids that are already getting into the season, ready to go. So it's been going well. We went down to Midwest Nationals. We had a few go down there and wrestle, and they did all right. We had 3 place winners. We had a runner up and 2/3. So can't complain with, a lot of them haven't had a ton of mat time. So to go down and compete with some of those higher level kids that have probably been on the mat year round, we'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, you had some success there. I saw the results, obviously. Saw a couple guys get to 3rd place, 2nd place, and remind me what Josiah placed 3rd as well.
Josiah took 2nd, and then
2nd.
And then Nelson and Isaiah took 3rd.
I got it. Perfect. And I also saw one of your youth little guys. He won it down there, right?
Yep. Yeah, Cannon Ziller. He's going to be someone to take note and watch over the next few years. He just has that mindset, and the stuff he does, you really can't teach. And I'm not the wrestling. It's just the way he works and what he does. It's something special.
Yeah, that little guy he's got tenacity. He reminds me of like the Brands brothers, but like little kid version, Marty. It's kind of funny. He's tough.
Well, they were little kids one day.
Yeah, they were. What else would I about to say? Oh, and then your son wrestled?
Oh yeah, he obviously we were down there. He's going to be around it all the time. So we asked him, and I said, "Hey, you want to wrestle?" Yeah, I want to. So we went down there, and he had one kid is all in his bracket. He's a little guy. There were supposed to be 3, and I don't know, one must not have shown up. But he wrestled well. He battled, and he had fun. And that's our goal every time we go out. We pick something in the match, whether it's get a takedown or let's get a turn or let's get an escape, and we focus on that and not really the wins and losses. But to say he's not thinking about it is an understatement. As soon as we got done, he was fighting back tears a little bit. And I said, "What's wrong?" "Well, I wanted first." I said, "Well, this is when we learn, right? You're not always getting first, but we'll figure out what we need to fix, and we'll keep getting better."
Yeah, the important thing is he wanted first, and now that means that he can, if you don't want it, then you don't really push yourself. But if you want it, you'll figure out what you need to do to get there.
Yep, it was good to see. I mean, it's tough, but that's the stuff that you just have to have inside you without somebody trying to want it for you. So.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I mean, competition sucks because very rarely does the guy, not everybody wins, right? At the end of the year, there's only 14 weight classes, 14 guys that are happy. So yeah, it's tough. But that's great to hear. You guys got a lot of guys that are competing preseason going into the season. How many football athletes do you have that will maybe get to the season a little later? I think season starts. Well, we still got a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, with that push, so we don't start till the 11th. So
yeah,
I mean, I hope they miss some.
Yeah,
because it's always great to see your football program doing well. But I mean, we're probably looking at least, I would say, probably 20 of them are on that team. There's a lot of linemen, so a lot of our big guys are on the football team, and obviously some of those skilled position players. So we'll see.
Yeah, that seems like, Marty, is this different? And Justin, you might know too. Like, it seems like every program in the area is in the playoffs.
Well, if you go 5-4, you make the playoffs.
But is that new?
Nah, yeah, but it's been a while though. It's been at 5-4 for a while. So
Okay, because I
Yeah.
cannot remember where everybody I've talked to. Yeah, our
It-
team's in the playoffs. Our team's in the playoffs.
It
I'm
gets weeded out real quick.
like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, in our conference, there almost everybody's 5-4. It was kind of like Byron Dixon, and then everybody else kind of beat up on each other at some point. So it's like Oregon would beat somebody, but then lose to another one.
So
So
who do you play? Who do you play in the first round?
they play Princeton, who's they're tough.
Pretty good.
They're gonna be tough.
Are they 5-4? Oregon's 5-4.
Yeah, Oregon's 5-4.
Yeah,
Princeton
okay.
8-1. I heard they got a pretty good tight end, and their offense runs no huddle and fast pace. So
Yeah.
something, if you're not used to playing, I know is tough to
Yeah.
adjust. So we'll see. We're hoping for the best, though.
And so, do you have everything your schedule ironed out? Do you have everything worked out? Or are you still working on little finer details?
No, pretty much everything's set. So now it's just, maybe accommodations and that, making sure our bus times are right when we need to leave. And then kind of once we get our lineup. So right now we're sitting at 40 kids signed up to wrestle on our high school team. So
That's awesome.
it's going to be a good problem to have. And like you're saying, that competition, we're going to have probably more competition in our room than we'll see most nights in our duels. So the level of kids, that we have in here it's going to be something I'll have to deal with that I haven't really had to in the past. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks where you have some wrestle offs, but this year we probably almost have a full JV squad.
Oh, that's great.
So
You got a true wrestling room?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we have a dedicated room. It's got
And-
two full mats and then an extra third section.
Oh, you're good enough for 40 guys then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll
Let
just be
them
different.
get in there and go. That's awesome.
Yeah, now they have the next job is you have a full JV team. Now you need JV1, JV2, JV3.
Yeah. I don't know if we can get to those numbers, but I'd love to have them.
Good old Marty had those numbers at one time, right? You had 3 JV teams?
Corey Anderson told me one time we had 4.
Oh,
Wow.
Corey Anderson, who was he
fights
wrestled
for
for me.
Bellator right now.
Yeah, he fights in Bellator. He's the number 1 ranked guy in the world at Bellator at 205 pounds.
Yeah.
And he weighed 300 when he came into high school.
Couldn't do push-ups.
But yeah, I said something on one of these podcasts, and he texted me. He goes, "No, we had 4 teams, Marty." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we have 4, but
Wow.
we're a little bit bigger. I mean, it's we got 2,000 kids. We better have some numbers out."
Yeah, we're at 400, so we'll
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Which is so fascinating to me because I am not inside school districts, so I never know what these numbers are and stuff like that. But Woodstock was at 900, Sandwich was at what was it, 6 or 7, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And you're a little bit less than that, so wild to think like it is not an easy task to
well,
get.
if you look
40
at it that
athletes.
way, there's 10 kids from each class wrestling.
And
Yeah.
that's usually our goal. That's kind of what we try to shoot for is 10 per
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, I mean that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, cool. Marty, there's anything else any thoughts that you have coming to mind about Justin?
No, but Justin, I always like your enthusiasm. I love you have the great frame of mind. You're going to do good things at Oregon. You really are.
Yeah,
Yep,
he's
that's
doing good things.
Yeah.
Current.
We're
He's
getting
doing stuff.
Yeah, you are. I mean, it's just like people don't realize it. It's a process.
Yeah.
You got to be a
Well,
salesman. You got to.
Hopefully, what we're doing is kind of showing that it is a process. You get to be familiar with people. You start to learn about the program a little bit longer. You start to see things. So yeah, I think Justin's obviously been on a lot over the last couple of years. So he's definitely got. People have been able to see him. One thing I was curious, Justin, we talked a little bit, but have you had any effort or any success trying to get maybe up this way towards the Rockford area and wrestle any of the guys over here?
Yeah, so we're trying to do that. There's a couple of teams that obviously we'd love to have, and it just is one of those. I would say our past dual team, it wasn't bad, but I'm sure their schools are like, they haven't really done anything, or they haven't had guys. So we're looking to kind of branch out because we're starting to lose some of those 1A teams that their numbers are hurting, and then now you got 40 guys that I'm going to take to like a West Carroll, and they only have 6 guys, and I don't blame them or bash them, but it's tough. You're going to drive that far and only have a few matches, so we're starting to try to look at teams that we can go, okay, we're going to take our varsity, but we're also going to make sure our guys on the bench have opportunities to wrestle and compete.
Yeah. Well, Belvedere used to wrestle Oregon all the time. I remember that as a coach and as an athlete. So there's always been a little bit of opportunity to wrestle inner conference or, outer conference or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. COVID kind of really messed some stuff up. We lost some duels and how all that changed. So now it's just trying to find those teams and schedules that we can match up with and make work. So that's where we're at. We lost some that I'd like to get back.
And will you send your JV to there's a couple of JV tournaments I think up here that would be beneficial.
Yeah, we send them up there. So we used to do we go to Guilford. Guilford has a JV one, and then I don't know if Ananika still does it. They used to do like that freshman one. It'd be kind of over.
Duels.
Well, there was one like Christmas or something that we'd go up. And
yeah,
it was so,
like full of teams.
Yeah, just throwback wrestling. Like you guys wait a second, go back and wrestle. So
yeah,
stuff like that.
I think that's kind of changed. It takes a little bit of work, and you know. But I mean, Rockford East has always a fresh soft tournament. And
yep, I think is that the one that changed though. It used to be a little bit later in the season, and they moved one up. And we have a conflicting JV tournament at the same time is the problem. But yeah, believe me, we're trying to find kind of anything to get our JV fresh soft guys into, and usually it means kind of going either to Rockford or even looking at suburb teams to pick up and wrestle.
Yeah, and I just was trying to see if there was any time that we were going to be able to get to run into each other with dual meets up there.
Yeah, not too many this year, but the goal is to start trying to find some of those teams that we don't care. We just want to compete. So we got to start pushing ourselves and finding the teams that can make everybody work.
Yeah. Well, going into your lineup a little bit, is there, can you refresh us on some of these guys going into this season that maybe returned from last year?
Yeah. So I would say obviously our biggest returner that we would have would be Nelson Benish. He qualified last year for us at 113. He's probably looking at 126, 132. We'll see kind of where he's falling this weekend. He only weighed like 133. And then we have a bunch of seniors at our upper weights that haven't necessarily done anything individually on like the state level, but they're going to be pretty tough. That have been battle tested. They've been in the lineup since freshman for most of them and had to figure it out. So now hopefully they can take care of business. Then we had the transfers, the Perez brothers. They were the ones that competed down at Midwest Nationals. Isaiah took second, I believe, last year in the IK. He's probably looking 113, 120. And then his brother Josiah qualified as a freshman. Kind of weird lineup last year, had to bump up quite a bit. So he'll be back down to probably 113, 120. Those two will flip. But then we still have guys behind them, like eighth graders that are coming in as freshmen that qualified. We got Levi Benton was a state champ for us. He's probably 138. Kind of depends where everybody else goes, but he's going to be one he's goofy. He's kind of got that funk, but he's going to surprise some people just because he's that weird. It's a good weird, but he's weird.
What's your regional? Who's in your regional?
He's probably going to be Lena, Dakota, Byron, Winnebago, Stillman.
You have a chance, don't you?
Yeah. If we stay healthy and kind of fill everything, I think we have a chance.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think Lena has reloaded that much, and Byron won it last year kind of wildly. So, it seems like that one could be wide open for the taking again.
Yeah, I think it'll be. There's 3 or 4 teams probably in there that you just never know. I mean, if you have a great day, you can turn some heads, and if you have a down day, you're gonna go, what just happened?
Yeah. Well, I mean, last year was the same. It was already so crazy that how it came down to the last match and everything. And Lena will have a solid team. Their team is pretty solid all the way through. We're going to talk to one of their coaches in the next couple of weeks, so we'll get to kind of find out. But yeah, I mean, that's a good outlook to look for, and it's a good thing to be able to speak to your team about, right? It's not something that is a Hail Mary situation. It's like, not only if you do what you're supposed to do, but if some people that if some of our guys go above and beyond, now is a real possibility that you can win regionals and put yourself in a team state situation. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's just one of those that'll be easy to help push those guys that maybe aren't the starter or they're that backup. And we've always say this is one, you got to be ready to go because you never know if you're going to, get thrown in, whether it's dual or whatever, somebody gets hurt late in the year. But it just makes it easy to push those guys to help push your starters and say, hey, this is a team thing. It's last few years kind of been individual. Every once in a while we have a solid team, but I think this year if things go well, that's that main goal that is achievable if everybody puts in the right work.
Yeah. I think you guys got it. I think you got some really tough individuals, and they could really mature over the year, and it could be a fun end of the year.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Well, cool. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely am excited for some of these matches to start. I mean, season started. College wrestling starts tomorrow. I think you maybe mentioned this last time, but who you rooting for this year?
Yeah, I'm still a Michigan guy. I'm a Big Ten all over guy, but
Good for you.
support
I'm glad you're a Big
probably.
Ten guy.
But I mean, it's just there's no conference better than the Big Ten.
There
I mean,
is none.
So Michigan is your team.
Yeah, I would hang my hat with Michigan.
All right, that's good. So maybe we can figure out a season picking schedule or something. We got to pick some teams, get some high school coaches involved in some college wrestling speculation. We, Marty and I, and a few others, we've been doing this for a long time. So
We have.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Because Michigan's getting tough. I mean, I'm going to be rooting for Ragusan this year, and that Sergio Lemley, he's unbelievably talented. And obviously, who did they just get? They got a couple who they got to transfer.
It'd be great if Ragusan would take a shot.
Yeah,
he takes shots.
He learned from the 56. What is it? What's his name? It's up from Montini.
Will Lewan.
Well,
yeah, Will Lewan.
Yeah,
yeah, just hand fight.
No, Dylan Ragusan didn't. You're saying did he not take a shot? You're talking about the hardest weight class in the country. If you take one shot that's out of position, you're getting reshot and scored. He's being selected.
He does that every match.
How many takedowns did Dayton Fix go after?
You're getting
yeah.
I'm just saying.
We got to get
I'm just saying. Don't be hating on Dylan Ragusan. He is he teched his way through the state tournament in high school. He's got takedowns.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Well, I'm just saying he's got takedowns. He will take. He's gonna take.
You know what?
Hawkeye,
I'm gonna
Drake
Ayala takedowns.
He's gonna score 4 takedowns on Ayala this year. You watch. Because he'll be at 33, right?
I think that's the talk, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a match, Marty. I'm
putting
on my Wolverine.
Now that one, I'm not
for that
sure
one.
where. He's pretty physical. Ragusan is.
Yeah, he is tough.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Michigan is your guy.
Yep.
Well, Marty's still wishy-washy. He's been back and forth on his Hawkeyes, and
I'm a Hawkeye guy. Just sometimes they piss me off.
He'll jump ship halfway through the season.
I will.
Don't worry, my wife.
I'll have Iowa State on. I'll have Oklahoma State. Whoever's doing well.
Yeah.
My wife rocks the Iowa stuff, and I'm like, yeah, come on.
Is she an Iowa girl?
No, nope.
I'm an Iowa guy.
Oh yeah,
from Iowa.
But she's been on the Iowa bandwagon for a while,
yeah.
So.
Hey,
Well, it's better than yeah. That's good. Yeah, it's a good thing to have some fans. Well, cool, Justin. Thanks for jumping on tonight. I know we see you a lot, and we'll have you on it throughout the season. Good luck the rest of the off season, preseason. I mean, and when season starts, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how everything kind of gets started.
I got one question for you.
Yeah.
What's your biggest home duel meet this year?
Biggest home duel meet? Probably, I would say it's probably going to be Byron, Rock Ridge, and Newman, and it could be Byron. I mean, Dixon's in there as well. Byron, Dixon, and us will probably be for conference. and that's one of our last home meets. Is Byron is the week before, and then Dixon. So I'd still probably say it's Byron, Rockridge, and Newman on a Saturday. So it'll be a fun Saturday to have.
That's cool.
And
Great.
that Saturday duel did not get to happen last year because of snow, right?
Yep. That was a Saturday one that got canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, you forget, man. Snow is coming, Marty.
Oh, gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta keep them off the important dates that we have. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll look forward to that one. That'll be a special one, especially because it didn't get to happen last year. And I know you were pumped about it. I think I was gonna try to make it down for that duel.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of highly ranked kids probably in those duels. Between Newman has some, Rockridge has some. Hopefully, we'll have some guys that
Dalton, we might have to take a road trip.
It'll be fun.
Right. Yeah, and Justin's going to help me out this year. I think we're going to figure out some streaming broadcasting, so you and I can kind of do it from the comfort of our own home and be able to jump on and share some wrestling and commentate too. So we're going to have some innovative coverage this year that has never been done before. But luckily, with perseverance the last couple of seasons, getting some better relationships with coaches and some new technology, it's going to make it easy for us to really get that accomplished. So you're going to be Marty, what's that guy? Who's the Big Ten guy? That's Iowa State guy.
Iowa State's
Gibbons. Jim Gibbons.
Yes. Jim Gibbons? Oh, yeah.
You're Jim Gibbons.
Yeah.
And I'll be Shane.
Are
you Shane Smart?
You know what? Jim Gibbons knows the move before it happens.
Okay. So
if you ever listen to him, he's unbelievable.
All right. So I'll take that. I'll take.
No, you're not. No. Don't. I know way before it's going to happen.
All right.
No, so that'll be awesome. We could do that. That'd be great.
Yeah, it should be fun. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Maybe what? We can move on to the Big Ten then.
Well, we don't want to.
I got to work then. I'm retired. I don't want to do that.
Let's just stick with our people, the Northern Illinois wrestling community, and when they come talking, we'll leave that for another date. But let's focus on the task at hand, Marty.
That's true. I was jumping in.
He was already looking. He's like, dude, I'm already. He's like, all right, Marty.
All right.
Justin, thanks for jumping on. We'll talk soon.
Good luck to the start of the season.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime. Yeah. Like I said, we'll work on trying to help, broadcast and get some live streams going. We got people around that I'll give them an iPad and we'll stream it.
That'll be awesome.
It'll be great.
Yep.
All right, Justin. Take care.
All right.
See ya.
All right, Marty. That is
That's like
wrap.
Double time.
Yeah, this was a
jam-packed.
Jam-packed podcast. I think it was good. I'm excited to kind of get the season started. So
7 o'clock Saturday morning.
7 o'clock Saturday morning. I will be up. I will not oversleep.
Just so you know, not this Saturday coming up, but the next Saturday, I'm going to be in my hometown.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it because we're going pheasant hunting.
All right.
So I'll get on quick, but I'll give you a quick tour of my hometown.
Oh, are they having a parade for you?
No. Shit, I don't know. I don't
know. You're coming back home.
Well, I'm going back home to pheasant hunt, but there's none there. I have no family members in the town. There's nobody.
I thought if Marty Kaiser came back to town, they had a parade.
Well, they might. They'll probably still do some sort of a small parade.
Small celebration.
It'd be great if I could have got my high school coach is still alive. He's like 80 years old. And there's a Hardee's in our hometown. He's always there in the morning. It would be great but I can't take a chance on it because I don't know how he's 80 years old. Who knows how he's doing,
Yeah.
But I'm going to go over to Hardee's because our hotel that we stay at is right across the street. I'm going to go over there at a little before 8 because he usually gets there at 8. I'm going to see if he's there.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, if he is, take a picture with him.
And, I will for sure.
Send it. All right, Marty.
All right,
good night.